Happy holidays, everyone. I'm Jenna. This is Jordan Bradford here at the Tranel Financial Group. Jordan Bradford is a financial advisor that has been with us for about 5 years, and you may have all seen him before talking about the stock market. We have had about a month between us and the election, and I brought Jordan in to talk further upon that and then talk about the projections towards the end of the year as well. So, Jordan, can you talk on the past month and what's happened with the market recently?
Yeah, of course. Thank you. The month of November was a really interesting month in the market for a number of reasons. Obviously, we started off the month of November with a huge presidential election that, as we all know now, really didn't finish up on election night or even the week of. It's been still kind of going, on and on all month, and kind of even bleeding over into December now. Although it looks like the results have pretty much been certified across the board, we're still kind of waiting on all of that to truly finalize itself. So that was just an interesting start to the month. But I think that a lot of good things happened in the month of November. And a couple of those big things have been the vaccine news.
Yes.
And while I am certainly no healthcare expert, and I can't tell you what 95% success rate means in a late stage trial, I think obviously the market is taking that all as very good news. And I think there's a reason to be optimistic there. And I think that's causing a lot of optimism to kind of bleed into the rest of the market and the whole economy in general, which is why we saw the market basically as a whole move forward pretty aggressively in the month of November.
Absolutely.
It was one of the best months in the market this particular year,
Oh, wow,
which has
okay.
had a really strange year in terms of just market performance. We've had months where it's been really, really bad and months where it's been really, really good. So there's been just kind of a mixed bag all year long of positive performance and negative performance in the market. But November was a really good month. And overall, we have actually seen the market really rebound well since the lows back in March. In fact, we're looking at, the Dow Jones is now up a little over 7%. The NASDAQ is up a whopping 37%, and this was just through the end of last week. The markets continued to, climb up this week a little bit as well. And the S&P 500 is up about 14.5%. I think that if we didn't have any context to what was happening in the world and we just saw those numbers, we would just assume that everything was just like normal. Just like last year, the year before even, just the market was operating in a really, really positive way. But as we dive in deeper in the numbers, that's where we can see, that February and March where the market really struggled. And then kind of a rebound over the summer, but still a lot of fear and anxiety as we were heading into election season.
Absolutely. So what in November, what specifically helped the market grow or helped it to just rebound per se?
Yeah, I think that there's a couple big points. I think one is, the election having come and gone now, I personally feel it was a big win for the rest of the economy and the market. Just a weight off of the country's shoulders that it's one less thing we have to worry about or be concerned with what the outcome is going to look like. So I think that just kind of coming to fruition like it always does in election years, I think helped ease some of the burden that the market's been carrying. But I think the other thing too is with that vaccine news from both Pfizer and Moderna, two very big reputable companies, I think that it's really helping a lot. And one cool thing that I wanted to talk about was that, we have seen this market grow basically since March. The market has worked its way out of the hole that it dug itself into when the pandemic first kind of really hit the United States. It was like, if you watched a boxing match and it's, Mike Tyson hits you right in the face and you're like kind of stumbling around. And that's kind of what happened in March was we just got hit in the face with the pandemic. And we've slowly seen, the economy, the markets just rebound a little bit and start to grow. But what was really cool about the month of November is that it was the widest overall growth in the S&P 500. And what I mean by that is it means that the largest number of companies grew compared to the number of companies that were growing in the S&P 500 in the months prior. A quick example is just in the month of November alone, over 460 of the companies in the S&P 500 actually had positive monthly gains. So that's a great number, right? That's over 90%. That's a really excellent
And what was it
percentage.
previous?
Well, in the month of October, it was only a little bit over 200. So
oh my gosh.
the number of companies that reported a positive gain in the S&P more than doubled from October to November. And actually, the last time we had this many companies grow in 1 month in the S&P 500 was in April.
Okay.
Which makes a lot of sense because in February and March the market really struggled, and so it makes sense that when the recovery in the stock market started to kind of pick up some steam, it does cause a lot of companies to grow. And really, if we're looking at it in even more depth, we look back to February and March, and in March particular, only 41 of the 500 S&P 500 companies grew.
Wow.
Which makes sense because the market was down. We all know that that it was a really tough month. But if you look at only 41 companies growing in the market in a positive way in March, then now in November 460 some companies growing.
Wow.
It's just night and day what's happened.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's showing a lot of good signs in the economy. I think things are definitely moving forward. It is going to be a long winter still, right?
Okay.
We don't know how quickly vaccines will be able to be distributed for people to use them. I know that the government's working on a plan to get those out to people and a particular priority,
right.
But that's going to take some time. So we're still very cautious, but we're cautiously optimistic that things are getting better. And I think a lot of the market news is really reflecting that right now.
Well, awesome. Okay, so thank you for that. Do you have anything else to add for the projections of us moving forward in that manner?
I think the biggest thing to look out for is, how quickly this vaccine really gets distributed. If it does get distributed in a pretty quick, efficient manner, then I think we'll see the economy start to get back into a little bit more of a normal groove. But I think that's a big if.
Okay.
I think the next couple of months, I think the biggest thing that's going to happen is we're going to see, obviously, a transition from a Trump presidency to a Biden presidency, and that's going to bring about a lot of new people in leadership.
Right.
Over the last couple of weeks, you probably have seen on Twitter or Facebook or just the news in general about all the different positions that President-elect Biden is putting in place and all the people that he's looking to put in charge. And so I think that, as this fully comes to fruition at the end of January, I think that will cause a little bit of volatility, not necessarily in a negative way, but just be aware that when you're changing over 1,700 some jobs all at one time, it's a pretty big undertaking.
Absolutely.
And while the government is used to that, and they do it every 4 years, every 4 or 8 years, I guess, and there's also job changes every 2 years. If you can believe it or not, we're going to have an election again in 2 years with a lot of our Congress people. We're going to have governors that'll be up for election. So election season is just starting again, if you can believe that. But we'll save that for another discussion.
Thank you so much, Jordan. I do appreciate your insight to this. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. You can either reach out to Jordan Bradford or your financial advisor that you have. The best way to reach us is via phone or email, 847-680-9050. Thank you so much, Jordan, and have a great day.